Hello, welcome pen friends. Welcome to the progress report for Chris's ink pen September. This is where I come on and jump right into the ink journal and show you how things have been going. But first I wanted to explain, the lineup has remained the same up until here, but I added 3 pens. So if you see Chris's inked pens, these are the 8 I started with. Or 9, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 I started with, and 10, now I have 11. So this is the Kaweco Brass Sport with a double broad nib. And this was part of a gift certificate that I ordered from Apple Boom. And then this came in as a Pen Friend gift from Pen Friend MS. And this is a Pilot Custom 74 with a fine nib in teal. And then the third newbie is a Jinhao, let's see, I haven't quite gotten used to this one yet, 9019 DADAO, Daddio or something, I don't know, Dado. It's a medium nib, and it's a quite chunky pen. Cartridge has a converter in it. And a number 8 nib, so very exciting additions to the lineup, and I couldn't help myself. I ended up already with 11. Everything else is cleaned out except for 2 Jinhao 248s that I'm just using for jotting everywhere. There's 2 of them there. One is kept with my food journal, and the other one is just kind of at my desk. So, but literally this is it. This is what I'm writing with. So let's jump right into the ink journal. And also another thing that's new about this video is when I get done going through well, I'll do the report card first because I never can remember to do it at the end. And then we'll look at each individual writing sample for these. Then I'm going to show you the ink swatches that I've done in the ink journal. Since I saw you last, I've made some entries. So I thought it would be nice to start doing that, and it keeps me better on track as ink samples, appear, or I find them, or I organize them better, then I get them swatched in. So let's go right into the ink journal now. There, so we've landed on that first page again, but I've already kind of done the grading, at least for the middle of the month anyway. And I only had 1 incomplete. That was the little platinum, little shooting star. It didn't perform the same way this time as it did all in the past. Like I think I've used Diatremendous Alexander Hamilton. So I was surprised because everything I ink with Cross Black has been so perfect. I'm thinking I may have done something silly, so I'm leaving it incomplete. And the silly thing I think I may have done is there may have been too much, may not have dried right. I may not have let it dry long enough or something, which I normally take lots of paper towel and get all the water sucked out, but I don't want to give this pen a bad reputation because see how it wrote when I first inked it, but then I've had some problems with it since. So we're going to skip over that one. Well, I'll show you the writing sample and everything, but we're not going to give that a final grade till the end of the month. After I may even take the ink out and re-ink it up and make sure that it's not user error. But other than that, it's straight A's. So there's some A pluses. The Pelikan, let's see, they're all right here. So just the Pelikan M800 got an A plus. This is no surprise to me. This pen is just wonderful to write with. It's super flowy, and it's a very even writer from the first word to the last word. So it's very special. And I just totally lost my train of thought. It took off out of the station without me. So I love this ink in it. And I know there was, oh yes, I remember now what I was going to say. It is a fine nib, but it writes like a medium plus to me. So I really love the way it writes, and I would have judged it. I would have thought right off the bat that the fine nib would be too fine, but it isn't. It's just wonderful. So, and we'll see the writing samples, but I wanted to flip through these, first. And then again, no surprise here, Benu Talisman with Sailor, 50 States, Louisiana, A+. It's got shading, it's got super nice flow and beauty, the pen and the ink, it's just wonderful. So try to go through these quickly because I want to emphasize the actual writing samples. But the TWSBI Diamond 580 Iris with a broad nib is another A+. This is great because these three for letter writing have been perfect. This is Pilot Iroshizuku. Okay, I can't pronounce these inks. I might as well just admit it. I probably should look up the English version of what it's supposed to be called. That's what I need to do. Anyway, very nice all around color, shading, flow, and beauty. You get a little more shading depending on your paper, but this is Tomoe River 68 GSM, and it's been a delight on that. I'm using 52 GSM for my letters. I'm using this that came in from Pen Friend MS. It's a everyday pad, so you you rip the paper off, and it's 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. So my letter writing is on this, and then my ink journaling and my regular journal I'll show you when we get to the library, because that's 68 GSM. So I've had kind of a consistently good, paper subject this time. Okay, if that makes sense at all. And then the little Jinhao 80 in the gray, which sometimes looks black on this, with a broad Lamy nib on it. I gave it an A. Let's see. At times I'm not so sure. I may let it sit too long, or the flow may just need just slight encouragement, which is not usually what I encounter. But with 11 pens inked up, there's going to be just a little bit of, I wouldn't say neglect, but there's going to be a little bit of them sitting around. So, and sometimes it can appear a lot darker in the beginning, but that's something for us to look at in the actual entry. And then the little Jinhao 82 in black with a broad Goulet nib, and this Jacques Arbon Rouge d'Orient. I love this. I know I'm going to write it dry. Let's see. Probably already on the way. Well, I had filled it up, and now I'm on the way to finishing that fill. And so as long as there's a little bit left in the sample vial, I'll just keep on using it. It'll probably finish it for good, but which is not going to be all that great because I like it. But it got an A+. So that's 4 A+ broad nibs that I can, or relatively broad, even though this is a fine, that I can write letters with. So it's been very exciting. The next three are all inked with the cross black. So we have the A1, the Majohn. I'm still not sure. I've tried to study how it's supposed to be said, but let's say Moonman, because they left it printed Moonman. That's a lot easier on me. With an extra fine nib. This has been fantastic in my planner. I gave it an A. Let's see. I like it best in my Hobonichi, not great on CVS caliber. But where this is doing well, it gets an A+. I'm almost thinking it really needs an A+, because for the purpose that I'm using it for, I'm not going to write letters with it. It wouldn't get an A+ for writing letters because my handwriting's too big. But it definitely wins the day with the little planner entries. So it's awesome. I love it. And then next up with the same ink, cross black, is the Faber Castell Loom. I think this is lime. I looked it up and I'm pretty sure it said lime. Anyway, we'll stick with that. With a fine nib and cross black. I gave it an A+. It is super smooth and very reliable. It even makes this ink look even darker and nicer than it is in the less flow, the smaller pin type nibs, which I don't mind at all when I'm trying to write tiny and when I'm trying to print. But yeah, this blows me away. I think it's fantastic with this particular ink. So hopefully I won't repeat myself all throughout this. Okay, so then one more. This was the one I said was incomplete, so we won't spend much time with that, but I'll show you the entry when we get there. The little platinum shooting star. I expect to have that up to what do they call it? Up to par soon, because I think I'm just going to go ahead and release the ink and refill it. Maybe even run it up and down a couple times, and we'll see what happens. Because I've always had good luck with that. So then next is the little brass Kaweco brass sport, which I just love it. And I put Diamine Brandy Snap. Originally I had that written down as shop, and I haven't made a new tile. This has a double broad, and it's just beautiful. This is really nice. But you know what I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about two other inks that I might like better in it. I'm thinking about Diamine Ochre, and I'm thinking about Robert Oster Bronze. Either one of those is a little darker and more saturated. So, but this is not letting me down. I'm writing letters with it. It does fade out just a little as I go along, and so I'll be curious to see if it does the same thing with the Diamine Ochre or not, because I'm going to switch it. These little converters don't hold much, which is kind of fun, because then you can keep switching your ink. And then the other two pens that I've just started with, really, haven't written as long, I did grade them, but let's just wait till we get to that page. And then we'll talk about the Pilot Custom 74 and also the Jinhao 9019. It may not be fair to grade them this soon. So, okay, so here we are on the samples. And it just, this pen, this Pelikan M800 just really is high quality, and you get that same exact saturation level, it seems like, from start to finish. There's a very little bit that you can notice, even with fast writing. And I love it for printing and for cursive. It keeps up with me, and it's just wonderful. So that was with the Asa-gao, which I love that ink too, by the way. Let's see. And then here we have the Benu Talisman Mandrake with the 50 States, Louisiana. And I see that as running right through, very similar too. I may have picked up on a different day here, though. At least half of page. We don't have much change in. It's a pet peeve of mine when an ink fades out as you write. And I try to write not too fast on these because I want to give it a fair shake. But anyway, this just, you saw the grades, A+. So we're still in A+ territory here. So then this one, let's see, I did the, let me get the ink tile out so we can, this is a new to me ink, or I may have had a sample years ago, but this is a new little bottle that I got from, I think I got this from Amazon because I was ordering something else. But this is Syo-ro, anyway, I don't know how to say it, but it's beautiful teal, and it's wonderful. I've got it now in two pens. So I did the chromatography because I hadn't seen that. And if I'd seen it, it was so long ago. So just wonderful, and doesn't let me down at all. At the time, this was right before the channel anniversary that I was writing this. So, and I wondered, I did some musing about whether Kujaku might be a better ink for me. I'm glad that this was a small bottle because it doesn't do quite, it doesn't wow me like Colorverse Gravity Wave, but it is a really nice, and I'm sure it's a safe ink too, and it's beautiful. So, and then here's the Jinhao 80 with the Diamine Oxblood, which is an ink that I used to just not like at all. Like, I couldn't get past the name, I believe. I think that was it, and so I didn't give it a good chance. It's just like when we fall for an ink because of its name, but then we don't really like the ink, but we liked the name, like it had cat in it or something. Only this is the reverse, where it said Oxblood, and it gave bad images in my mind, but oh, it's just gorgeous. And that, I mean, I think that Jinhao 80 with the broad Lamy nib, it performs well above its pay grade. I mean, I'd take that anywhere, any circumstance, letter writing, journaling, note-taking, you name it. It's wonderful. So, okay, next up is the little Jinhao 82 with the, the beautiful red ink. This is a pretty one. I think the price on the bottle is too high for me. I didn't like the price on the full bottle, so I never did pull the trigger on that. And I reviewed this ink 3 years ago. I put a note here. So I'll probably put that in at the end, in the little place where you could click on that review, and we'll see what I said about it then. I bet I liked it. Let's see. Oh, I've made a note to myself to get 2 more number 5 nibs for the Jinhao 82s. Yes, that's on the long-term list. Okay, now here I put these 3 pens separately. I mean, together, kind of. They've got the same ink, and they were all going to be for journaling purposes. So, little shooting star, we're going to continue to work on that. I haven't so much proof here to show you how it's acting up, but it was acting up. Seemed ink starved. It acted funny after just a little time, and that's unusual for this one. I don't know. I don't know if it just doesn't like the ink or what, but we'll get to the bottom of it, and I'll try to remember to report back because that'll be important. And then the Faber Castell, just fantastic. This, no matter how much I write with it, it stays nice and dark, and it really complements the cross black, I think. You know, there you've got a really nice ink in it that's not too hard to find, and it's just wonderful. And then this one here, the Moonman A1, I'm so glad that I got this pen. It's just perfect. It stays right in the Galen leather with the Hobonichi, and it just, I can't go back anymore because having the click to just click this and write something fast in there, or an appointment, or something to remember, it's a game changer. Because I want to use 100% fountain pens because I have all this ink to finish and use up. So it's important to me. So anyway, these 3 did really well, except for this one. It's got to be investigated. Whenever I go ahead and I encourage, you know, try to go ahead and put a little ink into the feed by, well, you know, encouraging it, then I get a really good writing for a while, and then we're back to not so good. So it made me wonder what's going on. But we'll figure that out. And then the Brass Sport, I don't know if you can tell, but this, I don't think this is the best ink for it. It's a gorgeous ink. I love it. But I believe, I don't have the tile for Diamine Ochre, and I don't have my other tile box either. But something darker will really please me better, I think. And I had a few notes about the pen in general to find out if the nib unit is screwed in or if it's friction fit. I don't know yet on this one. I know on the ALs, the other aluminum ones, it's screw in, and then on the plastic ones, it's friction fit. But I'm not sure about the Brass Sport. I have to learn about the pen I bought. The other thing is I need to weigh it. It weighs a lot, and I find myself writing with it unposted, which is kind of a little indicator there. But my hands are small enough to do that. And then I'm going to try Robert Oster Bronze next. I don't know that it faded so much as it just didn't, like, I like a really saturated read back, and I find this a little bit light for me, but that's very nitpicky. And then, coming up to the last 2, this is the new pen, the Pilot Custom 74 with a fine nib. This is such a different experience. It's a fine nib, and yeah, it's just a different experience, but I really like it. I especially like it when I print, which that's an indicator of needing to slow down, I think, because when I do print, I have to write slower. I can't just fly across the page. So this is, you know, okay, September 10. So I've only had about 6 days. Today, as I'm filming, this is September 16th. I've only had 6 days with this, and yet I already really like it. And I like this teal ink in it, too. So I noted that with light pressure, things look a little different than with a little medium pressure. So adjusting to a Pilot nib like this, which I've never really had, except for the Pilot Vanishing Point, and that's a totally different type of nib. So I would say I need more time with it, but I really think it's a great pen. It's a new week. We may get a break from the heat. Yeah, we did. We got rain yesterday. It was very humid, but it was still nice. Okay, we got to move along because there's a lot more. Okay, and then the last pen, also very new to me. September 13th is the date that I put this entry, but I've worked with this one for about the same amount of time. It must have been almost the same day that they came in. The Jinhao 9019. Now this one, I notice even more so that I have to put, like if I write just on its own let's just do like a little sample. I'll have to turn it a little bit. If I write like I normally do, then I don't get that full pow of this ink, which is a really dark saturated purple. But if I slow down and I kind of make a little bit of pressure, it is different. So, but this is not like the Jinhao X 159 where I just was so frustrated I couldn't reliably produce good writing with that one. My first one anyway. The second one was different. But Pen Friend CS sent this pen. Thank you very much. I had thought about it, but I didn't trust it because I was afraid it would be like the X159 and I thought it might be inconsistent. So I would say I need to do less fast writing with this. But this is a nice medium nib. It's a number 8 and I need more time with it. But in the meantime, I graded it A-. I graded the Pilot Custom 74 as an A, but I think I need a dark purple or a black ink in the 74. I really do, for me anyway. And yet, when I took this morning and wrote in my journal, which is 68 GSM Tomoe River, I felt like I was starting to get used to the nib. I knew exactly where I needed to be with just a little bit more than the normal, care with the writing, and it really came out nice. So anyway, A and A-, not bad for just a little time with it. I usually make kind of snap. I know right away whether I like a pen or not, like in the first 5 seconds. And I definitely like these two very much. So, oops, I had to stop to cough. It's just the morning stuff. Okay, so next up, I just wanted to go over some of these samples. These were all sent by Pen Friend CS. And I got a little sample of Pelikan Edelstein Rose Quartz. Nice, very nice. I especially like how it looked in the swatch on this Tomoe River. It's gorgeous. And then Diamine Maple Leaf, which is a shimmer. Let's see, are we able to even show that? Probably, but it's going to take striking the right position with the light, so that's kind of hard to show. Diamine Maple Leaf shimmer. Sailor 343, Diamine Celidian Cat. So interesting. I hadn't even heard of this one. I don't know how I missed that. That's a real nice shader. It's light, but I'm wondering, how it'll do when I get it into a pen. That's why I did these, so that I could have these to look at and see for next month, and see what I wanted to ink with. This is Diamine Sailor's Warning. I love that. I right away I like that. It kind of reminded me a little bit of a Pilot ink, but let's see, what's the name of that one? The red one, not the purple one. The Momiji, maybe? Something like that, but it has a little more orange in it. I like it. And then Diamine Cult Pens, Coronation Shimmer. And it is shimmer, but I'm not... Is it a shimmer, or is it... Anyway, it's too new to me. I shouldn't be trying to explain anything about these. Brand new, and I need to get them into nibs to really, really put them... Okay, these are all Birmingham. So we have Butcher's Broom, Weeping Willow, Magnolia Mirage. That's lovely. I think it's probably too light for me in a nib, but it's a lovely ink. And then Abandoned Shipyard. That's a nice name, and it's nicely saturated too. Ceramic Kiln and Aqueduct. This looks like it's going to have really nice shading. And it almost looks like that older, oh gosh, I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't think of the name, well, there's another green that's the vintage one of it. Parker green, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Looks a little bit similar, so I have to make some ink tiles and get to comparing here. But this is the first step for me to actually just see what the ink looks like. And then here's some more. So from the same pen friend, CS, Birmingham Amaryllis, Adobe, Chinchilla, that one caught my eye. I made a little heart here. Chimney Soot, this kind of a black. Iron Ore, which I really liked. I was trying to decide whether it was a gray, a black, or a dark burgundy, or what. Question, because my eyes do that to me. They deceive me. And then this is Birmingham Naples, a yellow. There, now we're on, I think these are the last ones. Yeah, these are the last 6. Now, these have been around a while, and I was completely disorganized, and I didn't realize that these were a, kind of a group called Cozy Comforts. I think I've made a mistake, though. Yeah, okay, I corrected that. So there's 6 of them, and they were sent by 2 different pen friends, different ones of them. I think there was one overlap, but the rest, it was neat because I ended up with one of each one from pen friend CS and CK. So we've got Soft Kitty, Warm Kitty. I think I've written with that one some time back. And then Tea Time and Coffee Date, Old Book Smell, Stargazer, and Campfire Crackle. These last 2 are shimmer. Let's see if I can show. Yeah, you can actually see that, I think. Might be a little harder to see on the Campfire Crackle because that's got a real, boy, it's beautiful. They're both beautiful. They're all pretty. And I thought, I was totally disorganized until one of my pen friends that wrote a letter was asking me if I had them all. And then that's when I clued into the fact it was a set and that I was sort of filing them differently. Some I had filed under color, some I had filed under just Robert Oster. So it was very confusing to me until I realized that I just hadn't paid attention initially to the fact that it was a 6 grouping, you know. There, I'm over in the library to kind of finish up. It's just been a wild week. I don't know how it got away from me, but it kind of did this week. So I mentioned that I was going to show you the journal, and I think I have before too. This is an Odyssey notebook, and it's 68 GSM Tomoe River paper, 7mm lined. And I'm writing in it as my primary long-form journal right now, and I'm about maybe a quarter of the way through. So in the back, I wrote with each one of these inks here, and I'm just having a terrible time. I'm not sure if this video is going to make it or not, but I'll have to watch it and see. Anyway, I wrote with each one, but I've also been doing more writing with each one. But it's private processing and talking about this and that and the other thing, and there goes the other phone. It's just it's a wild kingdom here. But each one of these wrote really good. Again, the platinum little shooting star was just a little bit faded. But other than that, I think everything writes good on this beautiful paper. And it's perfect for me with the 7mm line width. So our weather has been better a little bit. We've gotten rain. We've gotten just a little bit of relief from the heat. And yesterday I made the first soup of the season. So that was cool. And I remember I bragged about how I caught up with my pen pal letters. And I said I had completely caught up there. And I didn't know if it would be 1 day or 5 minutes, because then more mail, you know, comes in. Well, it was 4 days. And now I have actually that I was caught up, that I was sort of like, ooh, I need to write letters. Like maybe I'll reach into the old file and write to someone different, and you know. But no, now I have 9 letters in my reply pile. So, and I have sent out 3 this week at least. So anyway, things are going well. The writing is very good, and I think the 11 pens is good. It's a lot, though, to really specifically dive deep with each one. So I can see where I may... Well, actually, there's a few I'm going to write dry, because I can tell already. The Jinhao 80 and 82 are going to be written dry no matter what. The Benu pen will be written dry. And then I didn't put very much ink in the Pilot Custom 74 because I'm not used to that converter yet, and I didn't take I could have taken a syringe and filled it the rest of the way, but I decided not to. Because I thought, well, let me see how I like this ink. I may want to try something different after, clean it out and try something different. And I think I may want to just use a cartridge, a refill it with my choice of ink. So there's all kinds of, I could take it as far as I want with projects. There are different things that I could do. And I will say this, though. In terms of, I had maybe 19 or 20 pens inked up, and they're all clean now, except for the ones I showed you and the 2 just everyday jotters. I missed the TWSBI Ecos. So for October, I'm going to have to make sure I include at least 3 of my TWSBI Ecos. So that's a noticeable thing, like, oh, I wish I had still had some of those inked up. I had been writing them dry for several months, and so finally it was time, to do the final clean out on those. But I hope things are going well for you too. I like doing these progress reports because it keeps me on track. It keeps me, focused a little bit, at least, as much as I can focus ever, and it helps me begin to formulate an understanding of why a pen, ink, nib, paper combination might have worked or didn't work. And then it just makes it so much more fun going forward. So I like to share it because who else am I going to tell in my real life, in my life at home that's going to be interested in fountain pens? So, in fact, I watched this lady called the Clutter Fairy, and she was asking us to fill out a survey. And so asking what our hobby was that took up the most space in our house. And when she did the video that resulted from that survey, she mentioned the more obscure hobbies that came through on the survey, and ours was one that was mentioned. Fountain pen, inks, and stationery is how I put it. Because it is, when you add up the notebooks and the paper for writing and, stamps and materials and stickers and all of the things we use to pen pal, and then all of the ink samples and the pens and the ink bottles. Of course, it's triple what it would be if I wasn't a YouTuber. I mean, it's way more. I have to almost separate, Chris's private collection or what I would be doing anyway with what I do, because I want to share more about how something worked out, or how a notebook, a pen, an ink, I just have more things because of being a YouTuber too. So if it ever becomes that I become just a consumer of YouTube videos and not a creator, then it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But it's only something that I see way down the line in the future at this point. Like someday I might not be, keeping this much stuff at this level, but we'll see. And that's not for today. So I hope this will be publishable. I'm not sure, because if I have to redo it, I have such a busy day. There's some stuff going on in support of a really close friend, and I can't talk about details, but I just, it's been quite a week. And so I will see you on the next video. And thank you for joining me. This is getting kind of long. Let's meet in the comments. We'll talk about these things down there in the comments. Bye for now.